Zoning Board of Adjustment meeting for the Township of Belleville for November 5th, 2015 will now come to order. Clerk, call the roll.
Giordano.
Here.
Cafucci. Here. Montalbano.
Here.
Smith.
Here.
Sheldon.
Here.
Higgins. Here. Milano. Del Garcia.
Here.
Yes. Yes.
Go ahead, do this. Sit up.
If you could raise your right hand and repeat after me, then I'm going to ask you to sign something. I, Mary Higgins,
I, Mary Higgins,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United
and the
States
Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
and that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same
and I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same
and to the governments established in the United States
and to the government established in the United States
and in this state
and in this state
under the authority of the people.
under the authority of the people.
I, Mary Higgins,
I, Mary
do
Higgins,
further solemnly swear
do further solemnly swear
that I will faithfully, impartially, and justly
that I will faithfully, impartially, and
just perform all the duties
perform all the duties
of the Belleville Zoning Board of Adjustment
of the Belleville Zoning Board of Adjustment
according to the best of my ability,
according to the best of my ability,
so help me God.
so help me God.
Okay, would everyone please stand for Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Madam Secretary, has notice of this meeting been given in accordance with the Sunshine Law?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, notice of this meeting has been given to the press and the public in accordance with the Open Public Meetings Act.
Okay. Has everyone who was at the last board meeting read the minutes?
Yes.
Any changes to the minutes? Anyone requesting? Okay, can I have a motion, a second on the minutes, please? Motion made by Mr. Milano, seconded by Mr. Montalbano. Please, clerk, call the roll.
Giordano.
Yes.
Cafucci.
Yes.
Montalbano.
Yes.
Smith.
Yes.
Sheldon.
Yes.
Milano.
Yes.
Del Garcia.
Yes. Okay, we will now go to applications for adjournment. First case, ZB 2014-08, 138, 146, Brighton Avenue, Calandra. That is being adjourned to the December 3rd, 2015 meeting because the architect that the board hired, surveyor, that the board hired would not be able to get his report in by this meeting. He is looking to try and have it done by the 15th of November. And I understand, Mr. Gassion, you're waiving the time restraint.
That is correct. You requested a letter, and that letter was submitted, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. All right. Yes, that's here, and that is dated October 29th, and that is sent to the attention of Mr. Frank DiLorenzo, relation Brighton Gardens, 138 Brighton Avenue, Belleville, New Jersey. Dear Mr. DiLorenzo, pursuant to your request, my client hereby waives the time restraints to the next regularly scheduled board meeting in December, it should be.
I wait until December.
Okay.
Till the December meeting.
Yes, so I should really change this and you should initial.
It's fine. That's on record right now.
Okay, that's good enough. December meeting. My understanding is the surveyor will not have the work completed and that the board will be, because of that, postponing the case to the next regularly scheduled meet of the board, which will be in December. Like I said, I talked to him last Saturday. Mr. DeRose, Angelo DeRose, who is the surveyor for D'Onofrio Engineering, and he stated their target date is the 15th of November to have everything done by. And then they will be testifying at that meeting on the 3rd. Okay?
So that is adjourned without further notice to the
Yes,
December
without further
3rd
notice,
meeting
either
at
in
7
the
p.m.
mail or in the newspaper, to December 3rd.
At 7 p.m.
Yes, same time, same station, yes, 7 p.m.
Thank you.
Okay. To go on, I understand you want adjournment of ZB 2015-17, 78 Rucker Street, Limited Liability Corporation.
Yes, my client has a problem in that the architect has a conflict and cannot be here. My apologies, but I am requesting an adjournment to the next regularly scheduled meeting also, and I will waive the time constraints, although I'm sure that case is not at the extreme limit with regard to time.
Well, these two cases will be the first two on the agenda for December.
Thank you.
Okay, so anyone in the audience who's interested in that case, 78 Rutgers Street, which is really 236, 238 Washington Avenue. The corporation is 78 Rutgers Street. That's an application proposing the construction of an archery range of 4 booths in the basement of 236, 238 Washington Avenue. There will be no further notices either in the newspaper or by mail for that case, and that's adjourned to the 3rd of December as the second case on the agenda. Okay, now, a little announcement. There's going to be a couple announcements. First, and I'm going to do the same thing myself. Everyone who's in the audience, or anyone, please turn your cell phones off or put them on vibrate. That will be number one. Number two, anyone who is looking to testify or ask questions of a witness will be required to come up to the top. There will be no questions from the audience. You have to come, I mean, not from the audience itself, but from the audience in their seats. You must come up to the top. We are going to coordinate, because we are now on video, we are going to coordinate that with our transcripts. So if anyone looks at a transcript and wants to know who said this, they can see on the video who said this. Okay? And that's the way we're going to run things. Okay, third adjournment, and that was already discussed earlier because of a problem with the notice, is ZB 2015-19. That's number 4 on the list. That's John Anello, 250 Mill Street. The applicant is proposing interior alterations, renovations of approximately 2,100 square feet. That had a problem with the notices within 200 feet. They were not sent certified, so he's resending them certified. The notices in the newspaper are good, and that application has been adjourned also to Thursday, December 3rd, 2:15, our next regularly scheduled meeting. So there will be no further notices in the newspaper. However, anyone who owns a property within 200 feet should get a notice certified sent to them. Okay? Now, the other thing on the agenda tonight is we're going a little bit off the agenda because our engineer, Mr. Herritz, also represents another town on the first Tuesday of the month. Since the first Tuesday of the month was election day, they rescheduled to tonight at 6 p.m. So he's been there since 6 p.m. and he'll be coming here from there. So therefore, any cases that require an engineering report will be held off while we do the certifications of non-conforming use cases, of which we have 3. Okay, we'll hear them first, and because they do not require an engineer, and then once they're done, then we will go to ZB 2015-18. Also, ZB 2015 number 25, number 8, Gyron, 6171 Mill Street. I understand you are requesting a special meeting, Mr. DiBiase?
We are, Mr. Chairman, thank you.
Okay, anyone have a problem with the 30th of November? That's the earliest meeting I have, but you can get somebody here?
Yeah.
Okay, so our attorney won't be able to make it, but he'll send somebody in his place to take his place.
Thank you very much.
Is that satisfactory with you?
It is, and
Board
I
member?
just like on the record that we,
That's a Monday.
On Monday?
Is that all right with you?
Yeah.
Okay, beautiful. Then all we have to do is, well, if you have a problem with the attorney, we'll send somebody. All right, so that's not the problem. Okay, so anyone in the audience, ZB 2015-19, I mean, not that, I'm sorry, ZB 2015-25, you already sent the notices for
we
tonight?
did, and I gave it to the board clerk.
Okay, so they're okay?
The attorney has it.
The attorney has it.
Yeah, they're fine.
They're fine, okay. No, there will be no further notices either in the mail or in the newspaper for ZB 2015-25, 6171 Mill Street. That will be heard on Monday, the 30th of November, and there'll be no further notices either in the newspaper or in the mail.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
However, a notice will be put in the mail that the board will be having a special meeting that night. We have to put down which case we're in? Yes, okay. All right, so that'll be noticed in the newspaper. Okay, any other cases for adjournment? No other cases for adjournment, so we'll go on to our, yes, we're going to our first certification case, which is ZB 2015-21, Leota, 729 Washington Avenue.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
council members of the board, Paul Santambrogio, an attorney on behalf of Mr. and Mrs. Leota, the owners of the property. Subject of the property is 729 Washington Avenue. It's been used as a 15-unit apartment building since my clients purchased it. You can see. It's essentially a documentary case. I do have my client, Mr. Leota, here, but if you would permit, his daughter, Fina, who's very familiar with the property, would testify. She's familiar with the premises and the use of the property since the beginning.
Just let me state, Mr. Chairman, that I have reviewed the notice and publication. They appear to be in order. Let's see.
What I just gave Ms. Rita.
Okay.
Okay.
You can swear her in, yeah.
Yes, does she sit or maybe stand there, Fina?
Just stand right up.
Counselor, what other witnesses do you intend to
I
call?
don't intend to call any other witnesses, and just that the owner, the actual owners, Fina's parents, are here in case you want to hear from the owner.
Okay. Could you raise your right hand, please? With regard to this application, do you swear the testimony you're about to give shall be the truth, so help you God? Could you state your name and spell your last name, please?
Fina Leota, Liota.
And your first name?
Fina, F is in front.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Fina, your parents have owned this apartment building on 729 Washington Avenue since 1978, is that correct?
That's correct.
And to your knowledge, since you've been alive and familiar with it, the premises have been used as an apartment with 15 units, is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
And you've reviewed the application that we've submitted on behalf of your parents in this case, together with the documents that were appended there too. I would like to refer your attention, the board's attention, to the documents to help establish the use of the property through the years. Fina, you have your copy handy?
Yes.
The first document attached is the agreement of sale when your parents purchased the property, is that correct?
That's correct.
This is back in 1978. The contract itself was dated 1978.
Yes.
All right.
And we have that, Counselor? Yeah. We'll just hand it back.
Yeah.
The contract provides a list of tenants of the property, occupants, at the lower portion of the front page and continuing on the rear. It indicates 15 units, is that correct?
That's correct.
Next document is a survey map of the premises. Take a quick look at that. Could you describe for the board, how has the parking arrangement been at your parents' apartment all these years?
There is ample parking, and each tenant has at least one parking space.
Can you keep your voice up?
There is ample parking, and each tenant has at least one parking space. There's ¿cuántos son los de parqueos? So there's 18 parking spaces, so more than enough for one for each unit.
Next document appended to the application is a description of the property given to your parents by the realtor before they acquired, is that correct?
That's correct.
And just for the board's edification, where it says in the third paragraph, the layout, it indicates 15 units, is that correct?
That is
9, 5, and 14. And significantly, the last unit mentioned is a studio apartment that was used by the superintendent initially.
That's correct.
Is it still used by the superintendent?
I think
There is a super in the building, but that particular unit is not used by superintendent.
there are no children living in that studio
No,
apartment.
there are not children.
Okay.
Can I ask you a question? Based on the rent roster, number of rooms, which one is the studio?
Unfortunately, that is incorrect. I saw it. What I do have is the new rent roster that I just filed.
Okay, for the landlord-tenant
Yes.
board here?
That unfortunately is incorrect, the one that is in the packet. But this one was just filed this year,
All
at
right,
the
can
end
we
of
mark this as
September.
evidence, please?
We
Yeah.
marked that A2. A1 is the notice and publication.
Okay. Yeah, I was actually going to address this at the end of this list that are appended to, prefer we'll do it now.
We get right to the point.
Thank you. And if I'm talking too much, let me know.
No,
please.
you're not talking.
Here you
Okay.
go.
So that was filed on September 30th of this year. And it is apartment number 2 that is indicative of the number when it says 1.
Okay, now apartment number 2, how many stories is this building?
This is a 3-story building.
Okay, apartment number 2 is in the basement?
There isn't really, it's not really a basement.
The lower level?
It's a lower level, yes, that's
Okay.
correct.
So now which apartments are on the lower level?
There's 5,
It's a
5,
picture.
and 5.
There's a picture.
Is that the numbers?
No, there's a picture, and you see when the windows are lighting.
Yeah, actually,
Oh, I can see the picture, but what I'm saying is,
Yeah, but you can
which
see-
apartment numbers are on each floor, do you know?
5, 5.
No, ma'am, you
Oh,
got
1
1 to
through
15
1
listed.
through 5,
1 through 5 is on the first level?
yes.
And the second level would be 6
6
to
through
10?
10.
And the last one would be 11 to 15. Okay, thank you, that's all I want to know.
Just to continue with this
Yes, go
analysis,
ahead.
the next document appended to the application was the assignment of lease, which somebody named Linda Johnson, president, was the seller, assigning the leases to your parents at the closing in 1978, correct?
That is correct.
Fina, you occasioned me to make a Oprah request to the town of Belleville tax assessor earlier on in this proceeding to get information. Do you recall that? Or your father told me, actually.
Yes.
In any event, as a result of the submission of that Oprah request, the tax assessor forwarded to me and are appended to this application a couple of documents. I don't know how to describe them other than the one that has a little photo of the building, which is a lovely brick building. It says 15 units. I'm now testifying, it sounds like, but
Well, then you should ask her.
yes, right. So that's got a picture of the building, and that document says 15, correct?
It is 15 units.
Okay, could you flip to the next document? The property card from the tax assessor's office is 2 pages, and if you were to look in the lower right corner of the page, the tax assessor reflects it as 15 units.
That is correct.
Okay. Yeah. Could you continue? I don't know if that's a 2-page document or if there were 2 different documents, but on the second page from the tax assessor at the very top in somebody's handwriting indicates 15 families at that location.
That is correct.
9 one-bedroom, 5 two-bedroom, and 1 studio.
Yes, sir.
Correct?
Yes. Okay. I believe appended to the application is the next document was furnished to me by Mr. DiLorenzo. Apparently back in 1970, somebody named Marta Court must have had an application before your predecessors. And I suppose that's where the issue came up about whether it's 14 or 15, so I didn't want to.
No, that's not what I got. What I got is it was agreed that it was 14. And then in the 77 revaluation, it was picked up as 15.
That could be what I'm trying to say, Mr. Chairman, and I did not want to secrete this document from you, which says 14.
Oh,
So I-
14, okay.
Yes.
You said 15, that's why.
I apologize. If I did, I apologize. I didn't mean to. Okay. The next document that I ask you to address your attention to is the rent roster. In addition to the tax assessor treating it as 15, your parents have filed with the rent leveling board here in Belleville consistently as a 15-unit apartment. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Including P2 or A2, which was just submitted a moment ago.
That's
on that
correct.
document. And is that the case going as far back in time as you've been required or your family's been required to register with the rent board?
That's correct.
Okay, not just, the one we gave as part of the application was 2013, but it's even before that.
Right.
Okay. the next document I believe that I have is the green card from the State of New Jersey Department of Community Affairs, Bureau of Hotels, Multiple Dwellings. That indicates how many, in dealings with the State of New Jersey, how many units has the apartment been described as,
15. It's always been inspected,
even by the state?
even by the state.
Okay. I don't know if I took it out of order, but as part of that Oprah request, somebody from the tax assessor's office wrote a note on the bottom of a computer printout, picked up as 15, 1977 reval.
I believe that might be Mr. Di Lorenzo. Mr. Di Lorenzo, will you be sworn in, please?
Can I just finish? I'm almost done.
Well, no,
Okay,
we want to get everything straight as it goes along. Mr. Di Lorenzo, please be sworn in.
Yeah, with regard to this application, Frank, you swear the testimony you're about to give shall be the truth.
Yes.
And your name is Frank Lorenzo, you're the zoning officer in Belleville.
Correct. And Frank, the document that the attorney just mentioned, that was filled out by you?
No, that was filled out by the tax assessor's clerk.
That said picked up in 77?
Yes.
Okay. All right, just want to get it clear on the other.
Thank you.
Because you didn't know who did it.
That's true. Fina, as part of the investigation and preparing for this case, you directed me to go to the Belleville Library to look at the Price and Lee's directory listing of residents of 729 Washington Avenue as far back as we could get a hold. Is that correct?
Yes,
Okay. And I'm showing you a document, and I had not attached this to the application, and I would like to submit it as A3.
A3.
I'm handing
Just indicate what it is.
I don't know what you call it, the phone directory, or Price and Leeds was the company.
Personally,
We know what we're
I'm
aware
sure
of.
that you do. Anyway,
Mark it A384, it's 2 separate pages.
Okay.
thank you. Was it two copies so that you can each? And it says what it says, but isn't it true that it's a 1972 edition of that book, and it indicates 15 residents in the in your parents' apartment building, 729 Washington Avenue, correct? Fina, since 1978, when your parents purchased it, it's been continuously used as it has been to the present as 15 units. It's not like they added somebody in there or squeezed somebody in the basement or anything.
No, they bought it as a 15 unit and it's been the entire time.
And architecturally, it was built from the very beginning for 15 units.
Yes, as far as I'm aware, that's correct.
The premises are in a PBG zone, is that correct?
Yes.
We had that list the other day, I had the schedule. Shuffling for it.
Go back 1 minute, the prior statement. Did they have the building built?
No. Apparently somebody named, an entity called Marticol.
And so they don't know for sure how it was built.
No, but you can go there and see architecturally. Thank you. Yes, that's true. They weren't there when the construction was in place, in effect. All right.
So what happened was it was picked up in 77, and they didn't buy the property until 78, correct?
They bought the property in 78.
Right.
Yes.
So when it was picked up as a 15 unit by the reassessors, they were not in the ownership of the property.
That's true.
So what you're telling us is everything that you have provided us since they've owned the building is that it's been used as a 15-unit building.
That's true.
I do have one question though. On this, I believe this is the form you gave us tonight, the new one?
You're referring to A2?
Yes, I believe it's A2, 215, the registration statement for the rent leveling board. Is that what we're talking about?
Yes.
Okay. I see the third page has 15 units, but on the bottom of the second page, and this is the reason I'm asking this question, there is in bold print by, I assume, the rent leveling board, be sure to enclose a check or money order made payable to the Belleville Rent Leveling Board. Please do not send cash, in parentheses, for a total charge equal to $10 per unit in each building being registered, including owner-occupied apartment. The total's not $150,
Yeah,
it's only
that's-
$140.
and
Can
that's-
you explain that?
Yes, I can, because they prevented, so the
Oh, that's
town
true.
prevented my parents from renting that 15th unit
Pending-
because of this situation.
Pending this application,
Pending this application.
Did they specify it was unit number 15, or did
No,
they
it
specify it
was
was the studio
whichever-
unit, or which unit?
Excuse me, Jeff.
Go ahead.
No, when they come to my office for it, when I find out it's not, I ask not to rent it until they get
so we were complying with the
I
city.
understand. Can I ask a simple question?
Yes, sir.
Which unit are we talking about that they
Unit
told
number
you?
8.
Unit number 8, they asked you not
And
to
if you
rent that.
look at the third sheet, there is no unit number 8.
Oh, yes, you're right. Was it number 9 or no 8? Okay. Can you tell us what number 8 is, or was?
It's a, one bedroom, it's a 3-room.
3-room, 1 bedroom. Okay. And that would be on the second floor.
That's correct.
Okay. What? Oh, here. Here. Here,
Do the same, Joe.
Oh, they're
Yeah, it was just 2
identical.
copies.
Oh,
I
I'm
should have made 10 copies out of
Okay,
it.
no problem. Is there anything else that's floating around? No? Go ahead. Anything else?
Well, I don't have any further questions. The board
Okay.
wants to ask some questions or the public.
Any questions of the witness by members of the board?
Just, how did this come about?
There was a notice that was sent.
We got a letter from Mr. Di Lorenzo saying that it was alleged that the property was being used improperly. The letter is from March.
That's it.
So my clients took his direction and we filed the certification.
Frank, how was that discovered?
When they came in to rent the property, re-rented.
Oh, okay, for a CO?
Re-rental certificate, yeah.
Okay.
CCO.
Okay, that makes sense. And that leads to my question, because you have to understand, in 1970, they didn't have COs, right, Frank?
No, not for rentals or
Well,
resales.
what about a sale?
No.
They never went a sale, because now we have COs, so if it would have came in 1978, when your parents bought it, you probably would have picked it up then, that it was 14 versus 15. Right, Frank?
Correct.
So, I mean, because if you look at the bill, a contract of sale, it's for 15 units.
Oh, yeah,
The
when they
contract
bought
is
it,
sale.
yes, I agree.
The contract of sale, so if they had to go for a CO in 1978 for a contract of sale, it would have been picked up then.
And it looked legal because that's what it was being taxed as also, because it was picked up in the tax reassessment of 77. But there's no proof that any permission by the board or anybody
So,
else ever gave
these
permission for
folks
the extra
wouldn't know.
unit.
These folks wouldn't know.
No, they wouldn't know that. I'm just saying, there's no evidence at all. Okay. Any other members of the board have questions of the witness? Any members of the public have questions of the witness? No members of the public have questions. Okay, then you may sum up, sir.
Well, yes, obviously the board grasps the nature of the application. I would just say that it's been used like that for years. My clients are tax-paying citizens. They don't get in trouble at that property for not keeping it up. There is parking. They purchased it under those circumstances. The one unit is a studio. I know there's concerns about illegally using property here in town, as in all towns. There's obviously a safety concern, but also an education concern. Won't be the case with regard to at least one unit is a studio. He's kept it nice. And if you go back to that document from the library, apparently it's been like that for now 43 years. So we're just asking that he and his wife be permitted to continue the use they put into for these decades.
All right. Everyone will be voting on the case except for Ms. Higgins, since we're having the first alternate vote. She's the second alternate. Okay? Because Mr. Caruso was not here tonight. We need a motion.
Like to make a motion to approve?
Motion made to approve By Mr. Smith,
I'll second.
seconded by Mr. Montalbano. Clerk, call the roll. Or discussion, any discussion? Clerk, call the roll.
Pagano. Yes. Mafucci.
Yes.
Levano.
Yes.
Smith.
Yes.
Sheldon.
Yes.
Milano.
Yes.
Del Garcia.
No. 6-1 in favor. Approved.
Have a good evening, thanks.
Thank you. Okay, the second case on the agenda is oh, go ahead.
Just for the record, Ms. Higgins was sworn in tonight as an alternate 2. However, there is an active case which is not on tonight involving Mr. Calandra. Mr. Calandra is represented by Mr. Gassion, who has, I believe, 2 applications on this evening. The Calandra case is still active. While the Calandra case is active, and since Ms. Higgins played or has played a relatively leading role in leading the objectors,
I wouldn't even say that. She was noticed, and that's it.
right. But prudence would dictate that while Calandra is active, she not sit on any case involving Mr. Gassion.
Okay. Mr. Gassion, next case is yours. CB 2005-22, 51 Hornblower Avenue Limited Liability Corporation.
Prepared to proceed, Mr. Chairman.
You may proceed.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board.
I've reviewed
Counsel.
the publication and service, and they appear to be in order.
Yeah, am I within 200 feet of that?
I'm sorry.
Is 6 Hornblower within any radius of that property?
I can't hear you. 6 Hornblower.
You own the property at 6 Hornblower?
That's why I'm asking the question.
Okay. Can you look at the list to see if 6 Hornblower is listed?
6? I don't think so. This is 51.
I don't know off the top of my head.
Where's the list?
I have,
I got it right in front of me. Relax.
Just,
She's got it.
just to be safe.
Secretary's looking at it right
yeah, let's just take a look.
now. Did you get a notice in the mail?
Not that I recall, no. But you know what, mistakes have been made.
Yes. There's been a lot of mistakes.
Let's
man.
just check it out.
Not that Mr. You would make a mistake, but.
I don't see that switch.
6
I
is
just
far
want-
away.
No.
Okay, let's proceed. If you're okay with that, I don't know.
Perfectly fine.
Okay,
Would it be under your name, Willie, or some other?
under my name.
Yeah, I don't know.
6 has got to be 400 feet away, I would think.
That's fine.
Yeah, I would say.
I don't see it.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, counsel's name is Robert Gassion. The firm is Gassion Pomaco, 524 Union Avenue, Belleville. I represent the applicant in this matter, 51 Hornblower Ave LLC. Obviously, the owner of 51 Hornblower Ave in Belleville. The property is in an RV or 2-family zone. The property was constructed more than 100 years ago and has been for as long as records are available, used as a 3-family. The 1937 ordinance did not limit the number of residential units. In 1955, the ordinance changed to require only 2 families in an RV zone. From 1955, only 2 families were allowed in this zone. I am, on behalf of my client, seeking a certification under Belleville 23-14.1 and NJSA 4055D-68 to allow the continuation of the use as a 3-family dwelling. The witness you'll hear from this evening is Phyllis Worcester of 51 Hornblower LLC. She will review various proofs, including multiple housing inspection certificate, price and lien, Belleville tax records, a 1940 census sheet, and discuss her knowledge of the use of the property. At the conclusion, I think it will be clear that this can be certified as a pre-existing, non-conforming 3-family dwelling.
could you raise your right hand, please, when you're settled there? With regard to this application, do you swear the testimony you're about to give shall be the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Could you state your name, spell your last name, and please keep your voice up?
Okay, it's Phyllis, and the last name is Worcester, W-O-O-S-T-E-R.
S-T-E-R?
Right.
Thank you.
Ms. Worcester, what's your home address?
My home address is 6 Ellen Drive in Rockaway Township.
And are you the owner of 51 Hornblower LLC?
Yes.
And did your husband live in that home for an extended number of years?
Yes.
And when was it that he lived there?
He lived there from the time that his parents moved there, which was in at least 1966. That's when they bought the house. I believe they might have rented there first, but they were there all the time.
And did your in-laws live there until such time as they passed away?
Yes, they did.
And approximately when was the last of your in-laws dead?
My mother-in-law died in 2010.
And have you become familiar with this in view of your marriage to your husband?
Yes.
And has it during your time of your marriage to your husband always been used as a three-family?
Yes.
And have you continued to use it as a three-family until this date when you allowed it to become vacant because you intended to try to sell the property?
Yes.
And do you have a contract to sell?
Yes.
And is that sale unable to be completed because you thought it was a three-family?
Yes.
And you have been unable to get a certificate of occupancy for a three-family?
Correct.
And are you familiar with the documentation that I have submitted to the board on your behalf in the way of proof?
Yes, I am.
And did you review the price and lead directory from 1942 and observe that it reflected three families?
Yes, I did.
And did you review tax records from 1940 and that reflected it was three families?
Yes, I did.
Did you also see the letter of Mr. Di Lorenzo, the construction official, that referred to records in the tax office that said it was a three-family?
Yes, I did.
And did you provide me with a copy of the 1940 census showing three families at this location?
Yes, I did.
And do we have, in case the board is unable to read that 1940 census, a blown-up copy of that might be helpful? In case there's a problem with that, we have some blown-up copies. And I have no further questions, it is witness.
Questions by the board of the witness?
I have one for you. Are you looking at what year it was permitted, what ordinance, 1979?
Are you asking me? I'm
Yes,
sorry.
Yes.
It was permitted, it was not permitted after 1955. My proofs have to go back before 1955.
And they do.
And they do.
And you say,
There's tax, there's the price and lead, and there's the census sheet.
so you're referring to the 1955?
Absolutely.
And it's never been changed.
Well,
And it's
we
never
look at
been
two
changed.
dates. You and I go back and forth on 2 dates, 55 and 79. So you use.
This one's a 55.
It's a 55, okay. I agree, that's why I make sure,
Anybody else have a question on the witness?
Just one, sorry, if I jump in.
No,
On what floors are the different parts?
There's 3 floors.
So there's no basement floor?
No.
Did you have another question for Lawrence?
No, I just wanted on the record that we're making reference to an ordinance. That is, it was in 1955, which shows it was permitted prior to 1955, and the tax records that I'm looking at says 1940. So it's not, a little different than the other case when we just heard, we're talking about an ordinance here. That he's using as his legality. Am I correct?
And there's copies in the application of both the 37 ordinance that allows it and the 55 ordinance that prohibits it.
Right, and that's all I wanted to make sure.
And you're testifying that you and your husband inherited this from your mother, is that what?
My husband, who's deceased, who died this year, inherited it from my mother-in-law.
Who died in
Who died
2010.
in 2010, and then my husband died this year. We had created the LLC, but we were both members of the LLC, so.
So you inherited his portion.
Right, exactly.
Okay, do you live there?
No, I don't.
You do not live there. Can I, there's another question, you have no idea why I'm asking this
Well,
question.
she gave her testimony.
I understand, there's one other question. I just want to make sure though, because I like to get always the right information. When did you initially get this problem that they wouldn't give you a CO?
It was about a week after my husband died. April, it was April.
April of this year?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. That's the only questions I have. Any other members of the board have any other further questions? Any members of the public have questions of this witness based upon their testimony?
I do, sir.
Yes, you have to come up, sir. This way, I think that's the only way you can get here.
This is, at this point, it's just questions for the witness.
Just questions, okay.
Could you
My
state?
name is Kevin Killeen, 59 Hornblower Avenue, Belleville, New Jersey.
Just spell your last name.
Killeen. I do. I live down the street. Number one, parking is horrendous there.
Yes. That's not the issue, John.
What's the question?
That was not
The-
testimony either.
The question is there any parking, is there a garage at your house?
No.
Objection.
Yeah, she has
Sorry.
given testimony.
Here's the whole testimony. Here's the only thing you could ask. Bring it out into legality. If it was a legal 3, when it became a legal 3, and that's it. That's all you could ask.
Yes, Mr. Chairman. That was a legal 3 before 1955, correct?
Yes.
And after 1955, it was changed to a two-family zone.
Objection. Oh,
Not
Yeah.
not the zone, not the zone.
A two-family,
That's
Yes.
proper. The question, she wouldn't answer that question, either us or the attorney would answer that question. The question is to her, the proper question you should ask her.
yes, sir.
Did she ever change it to a 2? That's it.
No, that wasn't his question.
I know, his question is his own change.
I don't think it's fair that you tell him what his question. He asked her about the ordinance.
I objected because my client doesn't, she's not a lawyer,
Right,
she's
and
a
Exactly, that's what I'm
And
trying to
you-
say.
Well, that's not your place.
What, to
Well,
say that she's not an attorney?
Yeah, Mr. Cashel.
May I ask the attorney this time?
It's a two-family zone. I already opened by saying it was a two-family zone as of 1955.
Thank you, sir. I'm done. Thank you very much. Mr.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Okay.
sir.
Anybody else have questions of the witness? Does anybody wish to give testimony on this application? Do you wish to give testimony?
May I?
Yes. Name and address again so they know
Thank
it's
you, sir.
definitely.
My name is Kevin Killeen, 59 Hornblower Avenue, Belleville, New Jersey.
Did you,
K-I-L-L-E-E-N.
Could you
Mr.
raise your right
Chairman?
hand, please, sir?
Oh, yes, sir.
With regard to this application, do you swear the testimony you're about to give will be true self you got?
I do.
All right. Let me just say that this is a very narrow issue, this case, whether, what it was, when the zoning changed, and what the use is now. I know you started out by talking about parking and this and that. You can comment, but it's not.
That's not an issue.
Respectfully, guys. He can say what he wants to say. Whether it's up to us to decide whether it's relevant to a case. That's why I disagree with both of you.
I think that's what the chairman is supposed to do on.
No.
Unless the board wants to overrule the chairman.
No, it's not. It's testimony. Sorry. Disagree with you.
For the record, I disagree with Mr. Bolano.
Thank you, you agree with me.
Testimony
Thank
has
you
to
very
be
much.
to the relevant facts.
No, I disagree.
I understand.
You can disagree.
I do.
Why don't you go ahead, Mr.
Go ahead, sir. Why don't we find out what you're gonna say, and then we'll agree or disagree.
Mr. Chairman and the board. From 1955, the area was zoned as a two-family and one-family zone. Everybody that has bought their houses there, purchased property there, has purchased their property as buying into a one- and two-family zone. And with simply changing the zones from a one- and two-family to a three-family, because multiple housing, this changes the face of the area. We're getting more people in there. We're getting spillover from cars from Rutgers Court. And what I'm trying to say is that when I bought my house, I bought it in a one-family and a two-family area. And now, if everything's changed where you can start opening up to three-family, now everybody's gonna start adding houses. There's a house next door, should be, 53, approximately 53 Hornblower Avenue. It was a one-family house. They just put 2 floors on top of that, and it's just rebuilt into a I have no idea how many families it is, but right now that house belongs to the 3rd floor, the 3 floors.
Hold on, we gotta change the page.
Okay. If Mrs. Brewster gets a variance that things change to a 3-family,
Sir, I have to stop you right there.
yes, sir.
She's not asking for a variance.
Okay.
That's the whole problem with this application that apparently you're not understanding. If someone has a 3-family
Yes, sir.
and the zone changes to a 2 or a 1,
Right.
for 1 year, she can go to Mr. DiLorenzo, who's the construction code official, and get a certification that she has a legal 3. After 1 year, she can't do that anymore, and she has to come before this board. And then this board decides whether she had a 3-family before the law was changed, making it into a 2. Commonly referred to, I don't think it's legally referred to, but commonly referred to as grandfathered in.
Pre-existing non-conforming.
Well, the official thing is pre-existing non-conforming use, exactly. Okay, but otherwise also said as grandfathered in. That's all we're ruling on tonight. She's not asking for a variance. She's just asking for a certification of which she had a legal 3-family before the zone changed, making it a 2-family zone.
Can you just answer his other question? His other concern where his neighbor would not be allowed to make it a 3-family or...
Without coming before the
No,
board for a variance.
That's a variance.
That's a variance.
Then we would have discretion.
Now, if he's increasing the size of the house, but he's not increasing the amount of units, it may not have to come before the board. It may or may not, depending upon what the construction code official decides. Okay?
Okay.
If he's looking to increase it past 2 units, then he would. If it's in the 2-family zone. Okay, sir?
Okay, thank you very much, I appreciate it.
You're welcome. Because I didn't want you getting confused.
No, I was,
And I
Thank you, sir.
realized you were confused.
okay, thank you very much, sir.
You're welcome. Any other testimony by members of the public on this case? No other testimony. Okay, you wish to sum up?
Very briefly, Mr. Chairman. This one, I think, has excellent proof. It became a 2-family zone in 1955. In 1942, the price and lease shows 3 families. In 1940, the census sheet shows 3 families. In 1940, the tax records show 3 families. So I don't think you can get much more proof than that when you have to go back 60 years. So I think the proof is excellent, and it obviously was in a family for an extended period of time. My client's in-laws lived there until 2010. She's kept it, and now that her husband died, obviously she has a reason to try to sell it. I suppose he was keeping it and taking care of it. So I thank the board for their time and attention, and I think this is one where certification can easily be issued for a pre-existing non-conforming 3-family home.
All right. Open to the board for discussion and motion.
For me, the ordinance speaks for itself. That's why I always have that discussion with Mr. Gassion about which ordinance he's referring to, the 79 or 55, because it makes it a lot cleaner and it makes it more understandable for everybody. So I don't have a particular problem with this. The ordinance is clear.
You wish to make a motion?
It's more discussion now.
Okay, we should do more discussion if we
Is that what
want.
you said?
Yes.
As a chairman, I give you the opportunity to do that.
Okay. Yes, he's done. You can talk now. Does anybody else have anything to
Did
say?
you get it, Fred? You got it, right?
Anybody else have anything to discuss on this application?
Yeah, I make a motion.
Mr. Villano makes the motion, seconded by Mr. Smith. Clerk, call the roll. To approve.
Giordano.
Yes.
Mafucci.
Yes.
Montalbano.
Yes.
Smith.
Yes.
Sheldon.
Yes.
Milano.
Yes.
Bill Gershon.
Yes. Approved 7-0.
Thank you for your time and attention.
You're welcome.
Yes.
The next case is ZB 2015-26, Estate of A. Molinaro. Ms. Higgins, you can come back up. This is the one that's screwed up. No one's screwed up. Yeah, they didn't vote for denial. I got backwards. I guess we got a lot of answers. So the conflicts with the state actually, this would say was a problem. Okay, yes, sir.
Good evening. Pat DeMarco here on behalf of the applicant, the estate of Anthony Molinaro. This property concerns an application at 37 Berkeley Avenue for certification of a pre-existing non-conforming. Just by way of a few opening remarks, this property has been in the Molinaro family since 1941. Mrs. Molinaro is standing to my right. It was owned by her husband recently. He passed away a couple of years ago. She's now in charge of this estate. The records of the building department reflect that when this was built in 1941, it was a one-family. There are no records, to our knowledge, and speaking to Mr. Peter Renzi, who's been very helpful with our office, there's nothing on file at his office by way of permit or variance. But in 1955, it began to be taxed as a two-family and has been taxed as a two-family for the last 60 years. Mrs. Molinaro was standing to my right and testified that from the time she met her husband in 1956 to the present time, this was used as a two-family. I apologize, however, I just got the records from the assessor's office yesterday and I made copies if you would. I'd like to introduce them so I can show them to you. What's interesting, as you look at them, they will confirm what Mr. Di Lorenzo has said in his report, that from 1955 to the present time, it has been taxed as a two-family. Perhaps we just maybe pass those before I continue.
Just for the record, I have reviewed done my best to review the voluminous certifications and publication. They appear to be in order. And we should have this probably sooner, but it seems to be in order.
How many copies did you make of this?
I have 9 here.
9, okay.
Do you need another one, Mr. Chairman? Do you need another one?
No, it's just that I didn't know how many I had. Has everybody got a copy of it?
No.
What do the other one?
What do we
need one more here?
What do we serve
We'll be able to get one for the file.
Okay, I'll give you mine. Don't worry about it.
I have another one, Mr.
Or he has another one.
This was not previously submitted, sir?
I just got it yesterday.
Okay, then we're going to mark it A2.
Can I ask you another question, sir? Is this the property where taxes were paid for?
Yes. as I mentioned before, I think a review of the records from the tax assessor's office will confirm what we said with respect to it being taxed as a two-family for 1955. What I would respectfully submit for the board's consideration is, this is not a case where a homeowner just decided to convert a 1 to a 2 for their own benefit. Because as we all know, had that been done, it may not have been picked up immediately by the town, but certainly if something was done illegally, the town wouldn't cure it just by simply taxing it as a two-family. They would have sent a notice of violation out, they would have been required to cease using it as a 2, come for a variance, or to take some action. What's interesting is on the records that...
I think you should ask Mr. Di Lorenzo those questions, because he knows how it properly works in Belleville. So I think you're assuming a little bit. When there's usually a tax revaluation, the question is, a lot of times, but that's why everybody comes before us, it doesn't get picked up by the construction code officials department. Am I right, Mr. Di Lorenzo?
No, most of these are brought up on the resale of the houses.
Since there's been a CO requirement, correct?
Correct.
And that didn't happen until the mid or late 90s.
But that was not the assumption I was making. My point, Mr. Chairman, was the fact that if you look at the assessor's records that I submitted on pages 7 and 8, in 2 instances, there's a notation by the tax assessor that this was converted to a two-family.
But one doesn't talk to the other, legality.
Yeah, the left don't know what the right's doing.
The left doesn't tell the right that this is legal or not legal. So that's why, if you may have heard me ask the previous attorney to give me what was permitted in 1955 under the ordinance in 1955. There's a, what do you say, a 37, a 55, and I think a 79. Yeah, 79. So I guess the question, if I may, Mr. Chairman, all I really care was, what did the ordinance say in 1955? Were they permitted, not permitted?
Well, and given the report from Mr. Di Lorenzo, I would assume, and if I'm wrong, Mr. Di Lorenzo, correct me, that it was not.
Correct, that's what I have. I don't know what it was back then, what the zone was, when it changed in 55.
That's right.
But clearly since 55 until the present time, for 60 years, it has been taxed as a two-family.
Right. But you do understand that, I'm not saying you're not telling the truth, you are, right? It's in front of us. What I'm saying is, one of the things that we have to determine if it's a pre-existing non-conforming use. So, you win the battle halfway by saying that it's been used for 60 years as a two-family. I don't disagree with it. What helps me personally, I can't speak for anybody else, what was the ordinance history for that area? Did it go from not permitted in 1955, or was it in when was it built?
41.
What was it in 37? What was it in
It was built in 41. So, giving the ordinance, based upon what Mr. Di Lorenzo told me, it was one family.
One family?
It was built as a single family in 41.
Yes, sir.
And that's still a single-family zone, Mr. Di Lorenzo?
Correct.
Although there are 2 families in the neighborhood, which are newer than ours.
Same zone?
Pardon?
Same zone, Frank?
Yeah, Berkeley's all single family.
So it could have been permitted at one time?
I guess, yeah, well, I'd have to look at the old zoning map.
And that's what I was pushing towards. As I read, having that discussion with Mr. Gashon, he looks at the old zoning maps, and we kind of decide whether it might have been permitted at one time. And if it was permitted, and it was used continuously, that gives us a better picture of what happened.
Well, I also would like to say, I know you're doing all the talking, and she hasn't talked yet, or even been sworn in yet. But this was built by her family in 41, is that what you're telling us? Her husband's family. Well, let me ask you a question. When did you marry your husband?
Well, let's swear her.
Well, no, let's swear her in, yes, okay.
Could you raise your right hand, please? With regard to this application, do you swear the testimony you're about to give shall be the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
Could you state your name, spell your last name, please?
Virginia Molinaro, Molinaro.
Thank you. And you're the owner of the property? But,
Yes, yes.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
okay.
It's in her husband's estate.
It's in
Got
my
it.
husband's estate, the estate sensitive.
Mrs. Molinaro, when did you, to answer the chairman's question, when did you marry your husband?
61.
And where was he living at the time?
37 Berkeley Avenue.
When did you meet your husband?
56
Where was he living?
Berkeley Avenue.
At 37 Berkeley Avenue? When you started to need him to go out with him, did you have occasion to go to the house?
Yes,
How often did you go to the house?
at least Sunday dinner, every Sunday.
And I won't ask you what you had, but did you go more often than
Oh,
once?
yes, sure.
And did you continue to be familiar with the property from 56 until the present time?
Yes,
And it's been occupied continuously as a two-family,
yes,
up until about a month or so ago, when the tenants were put out in anticipation of a seal, which fell apart because we couldn't get the seal.
yes,
Is that correct?
yes.
And again, you're still familiar with the property,
Yes.
and it's been continued to be used as a two-family, to your knowledge, from 56 until the present.
Yes.
Well, no, what happened, accordingly, it was picked up, since it was built until 54, it was a 1, I think I saw, and then it got picked up as a 2 in 55. Am I correct?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I was gonna ask.
And she gave testimony to 56.
Yeah, she only met him in 56 a year later. Man, let me ask you something. You familiar with the property?
Yes.
Did you ever live there?
No.
Never lived there. Oh, so I see that. All right, but you're familiar with the property. Does it have, for example, how many gas meters, electric meters?
2?
Are you sure? You're not sure. Is there 2 bills? Does one
Yes.
family get a bill, the other family get a bill?
As far as I know.
As far as you know.
My sister-in-law lived there until she died. So she took care
So
of
your
it.
husband, maybe I missed this part, your husband passed away when?
February 3rd, 2011.
2011. So who's managed this property for the last 4 years?
His sister,
His sister.
she lived there.
She lived there and she managed it.
Yes.
Now we'll get down to the nitty gritty. Are you and his sister co-owners or no?
No,
She has no ownership,
no,
but she managed it.
yes. She had no place to live after she was divorced, so she lived there, and after my in-laws passed away, she still lived there, and she took care of.
Did she manage it and lower paying rent from Mrs.
Yes,
Molinaro?
instead of paying rent, she, you know.
And there was a separate tenant in the building
Yes,
also.
yes.
And you said your in-laws. Did your in-laws predecease your husband or after?
Predeceased.
They predeceased him. Okay. So then what happened was she has no ownership to the property. It wasn't split between your husband and her?
No, it was only in my husband's name.
Only in your husband's name.
For
And you
many
inherited
years.
it 4 years ago.
Yes.
And she managed it.
Well, she passed away, so,
Your sister-in-law passed away too?
in February.
So technically now, who manages it now?
Well, it's empty now. Trying to sell it.
Well, man, somebody has to pay the bills.
Oh.
Somebody has to take care of the heat so the pipes don't break.
Mr. Chairman, our office does that as part of the estate.
It's an
okay.
estate asset.
All right, then maybe I should ask you.
Yeah.
How many meters is there?
We pay the bill for the unit that was occupied by the Molinaro family.
What about the other unit?
We never got that bill.
How long has it been vacant?
It's been vacant.
3-4 months.
Is there did you ever inspect the property yourself?
I have not, sir.
Has anybody in your office inspected this property?
We might.
My son is here with the estate may have.
Maybe we should have someone come who knows what's going on, because I am getting completely confused. Nobody can give me straight information. You know, you have to be familiar with your property. when you want to come before us. So that way, when we ask you questions, you can give us straight answers. Right now, everything's hypothetical. Doesn't help. So if you want, we could adjourn this until you get somebody who could come in and give us accurate information. How it was managed? Was there 2 apartments? Was there 2 meters? Is there 3 meters? Is there a common meter for electric? I don't know. And I can't get anything out of anybody here because apparently she's not familiar with the property even though she owns it.
Well, she's familiar enough to know that there's always been 2 tenants.
That don't mean anything.
No, you said you can't tell me how many tenants.
Well, we're
That's
talking
what
about
that's-
how it ever became legal. We can't even get an answer there. But there would have to be something that would give us an indication. We have no indication of anything. All we know, it was taxed up to 54 as a 1. At 55, it became a 2. Did it legally become a 2? Who knows? Not with any testimony you're being able to provide us. Being taxed is something doesn't make it legal.
I understand.
Okay. So what do you want to do? I'll proceed whatever way you want to go.
Would it be then to the December meeting?
The December 3rd meeting, yes. Would you want to do that?
Sure.
Okay.
Can I ask you one question?
Sure, you can ask any question you want.
Did you, when it became a 2-family, did you increase the size of the building? Did you add a dormer or anything?
No.
She wasn't there.
She wasn't there.
Well, I only know 56.
In 55. She
Well,
said
it
we
was
started
known-
dating the husband in
it was known
56.
if the building is original or it was an
Well, that I
add-on.
knew.
Well, technically, some of the questions I asked could answer that question. But nobody could give me a straight answer.
Well,
All right, so we could adjourn it to December, and you understand our dilemma here?
Chair?
Yes.
It would also be helpful if you could see if the zone ever changed from a single family to one.
Well, actually, from a 2 to a 1, because it's a 1 now.
If it at any time was ever permitted.
As a 2, yes. That would help tremendously. Okay?
Sure.
All right, so, where's my agenda? So, ZB 2015-26, Estate of A. Molinaro, 37 Berkeley Avenue, will be adjourned to our next meeting, December 3rd, 2015, and there'll be no further notices either in the newspaper or in the mail.
Thank you.
Thank you. Well, I'm looking for, oh, we don't need it. Look who's here. I mean, a recess. Unless you want to do a recess. You want to take a recess?
Yeah.
All right, there will be a 15-minute recess of the board. We'll be reconvened at 8:30. Nice job. Thank you. 5th, 2015 will now come back into order. Okay, Mr. Gassion, your case is up. Mike, you want to say something? Your case is up. We're back to the first page. ZB 2015-18, that's Belleville Industrial Properties, 25 and 63 to 69 Main Street.
Correct.
25 is on Main also?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, proof of service, okay?
Yes, proof of service is satisfactory.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, council's name is Robert Gassion, the firm is Gassion Pomaco, 524 Union Avenue in Belleville. I represent the applicant in this matter, Belleville Industrial Properties. Excuse me. My client is the owner of 25 Main Street and 63-69 Main Street, which was originally the site of Wallace and Tierney. The property was vacant for a number of years, and in the late 90s, the planning board gave approval to Belleville Industrial to use the property for storage use. In 2009, some 10 years after the original approval, my client made an application to subdivide the property into 3 lots and to allow off-site parking for the rear building on the corner of Main and Bayard. On 11/5/09, the board memorialized the subdivision approval and granted the D variance for the off-site parking on block 9302 lot 19, and that was for the rear parcel of the former block 9301 lot 1, referred to as building 32, or when the subdivision took place, lot 1.01. Tonight, we're seeking approval to amend the previous approval in order to reconfigure the lot lines. We want to create 2 lots as opposed to the previously approved 3 lots. Also, we're adding loading docks and a covered exterior stairwell. The applicant is seeking site plan approval, major subdivision approval, and bulk variances. The bulk variances involve a minimal increase in lot coverage and a slight increase in a side yard violation. The other bulk variances are a result of pre-existing conditions. The witnesses you'll hear from are Tom Ercolano, the architect, and Roger Denisha, the planner. Mr. Ercolano will review the proposed lot line change and discuss the minor changes to the site. He will also review Mr. Hertz's report and provide responses to most of his questions. Roger Denisha will discuss the bulk variances and review both the positive and the negative criteria. At the conclusion, I think it will be clear that the removal of the lot line in question will really be a positive for this property. I'd like to call my first witness, Mr. Ercolano.
Raise your right hand, please, sir. With regard to this matter, do you swear the testimony you're about to give shall be the truth, so help you God?
I do.
State your name and spell your last name, please.
Thomas F. Ercolano, E-R-C-O-L-A-N-O.
Mr. Ercolano, what is your business address
202 Highland Avenue, Upper Montclair, New Jersey.
and your occupation?
Architect, licensed in the state of New Jersey
For how long have you been practicing in the field of architecture?
since 1971.
And what degree did you obtain, and from what school did you graduate?
Bachelor's of Architecture degree from Pratt Institute, 1967.
And can you briefly give the board the benefit of some of your experience in the field of architecture?
Well, I have a lot of experience on this project because I've been involved since 1998, and I've been in front of this board a number of times.
We'll accept him.
Thank you. He's being submitted as an expert in the field of architecture. Were you engaged to prepare this subdivision and change in the plans for the site?
Yes.
And what is the zoning at this site?
The IB zone.
And who did the survey in conjunction with this reverse subdivision?
Finesti surveying of the Cedar Grove.
And has that been incorporated in your plan?
It's all submitted, it's the last sheets.
And would you describe the existing site?
Yes, I want to hold up boards.
I think.
The entire,
That should be marked A2 in evidence, and after you mark it, Mr. Ercolano, it tells what it is.
already marked it. Okay. The entire project is about 7 acres. It includes this separate parking lot. And what I have it colored in, the proposal is to have 2 lots. The yellow one is going to be one of them, 102, and this pink one is the other lot. And what we want to do is eliminate the line that we got approved in 2009. See the green line, which went right through the building. And that's the line we want to eliminate, so this becomes one lot, and this separate building, which is actually separate from the rest, will be the other lot with the related parking.
Briefly describe the existing structures on the site.
Mr. Ercolano, maybe you could move around here. I don't think that side of the board can see clearly.
All right, I'll do my best. Primarily, this building, the buildings are numbered on the plan. Number 4, number 3, number 7 are really storage. And currently, the lower floor of number 7 and the 3 floors of number 4 are vacant, and they were going to be converted to mini storage. Previously, the previous users, before they became vacant,
for storage and some other kind of facilities. Now, my client wants to change everything to mini storage. It's working out better. It needs almost no employees, no parking. Part of the other approval, we also had a lot of easements which are going to disappear. It's marked on the plan. They were easements because they were getting in, going through one lot to another. But now this part is all one lot. And the second floor of this building, number 7, is occupied by the county. They store voting machines. And this building is occupied by Ecuadorian rainforest. It's the name of the company. What they do is they deal with herbs and make powder with the herbs. That's not just storage, that facility. This one, which is now going to be in a separate 101 lot, we call it building number 32, is a one-story storage building which is used by the county of Essex also. It's document storage and storage for some of their sheriff's vehicles. And the reason why I colored this pink, because in the previous approval, this parking lot was developed just to support this building, which had no parking.
Mr. Colano, you've already mentioned it, but just review again the change in the lot line that is proposed by this application.
Yes. The green line is the lot line that we got approved, I guess it was about 6 years ago. And that's the one we want to eliminate to make this one lot. Because now that my client is making it all mini storage, it really made sense anyway.
So,
I'm sorry.
just be clear. So, it wasn't one lot at one time, Mr. Gassion?
At one time, it was one lot.
Like 2000?
Then, in 2009, I believe,
Right,
we came in and got a subdivision approval to make it 3 lots.
that's the green line.
And that's this is 1, this is 2, this is 3. And what we're seeking to do now, obviously, is have 1, 2. When it was Wallace and Tiernan, it was one piece. This is separate and apart.
So the one, the pink on the bottom there, right? That's one, right?
Yes.
And that one goes with lot pink, the pink lot, correct?
Yeah, it's tied together in
Right.
the approval. But it's a separate lot, but this is
So
earmarked.
I guess I'm asking, what's the purpose of getting rid of the lot line? You have to educate me there.
Well, it was, this may sound crazy, but this lot line was kind of silly. It went right through the building.
I'm not saying I disagree with you. But if it's
much
silly,
cleaner to get rid of it, because then we had a lot of easements.
the
to go-
easements, weren't there easements there before the lot line?
No, these are easements that we created to put this lot line in, so that you can go across this lot to get to that lot. So now by eliminating the lot line, we don't need the easements, much cleaner.
I'm not disagreeing with you, I'm just, you know when something's too easy, you get suspicious. That's where I'm at.
It makes too much sense.
Our client is not here to explain his thinking.
Okay, all right, at least you tried, thank you.
Would you review strike that, are there any alterations to the site plan?
Not to the site, but to the building.
To the building, I'm sorry.
Minor changes to the site and some to the buildings.
Would you review the proposed alterations to the building?
Yes. I'll start with
A3, please. Mark it A3. Just tell us what it is. You took the
These are photographs, actually, which I took last week.
4 photos of the site.
Right. I'll start with the photo on the left, the lower left. This is the building that we call Building 4. And there's a little bubble here. That's where we want to add an exterior stair, because this is a 3-story building. And now that it's going to be mini storage, there are no 2 remote exits on the 3rd and 2nd floor. So we need a stairwell to create remote exits. And this drawing gives you an idea of what the stair is.
You have to mark that before you describe it, unless that's an exact replica of what's in the
It's an exact duplicate of what's in the back.
Okay.
We don't need to mark it.
Okay, and it hasn't been doctored at all. You can see this is the stair that connects the 3rd floor, 2nd floor, and the ground. That's an emergency exit, which I proposed, because we can't really safely occupy, although it was occupied for storage, now that it's mini storage, we wanted to really make it safe. That's the change on building number 4. And this is a photograph. This is building number 7, which the second floor of this is occupied by the county. The first floor now is vacant. It's also going to become mini storage. And we're proposing to put 2 doors, because this is drive-in entry, so that the people with the mini storage can get in with their vans and bring product in. It's just all mini storage on the lower floor. This is another view of the same building. The lower right is a view of this section, which is we're improving the access to building number 4. We're going to create a dock here and put an overhead door so a truck can back into there, and people with their vans go back in and service, get access to that building. This one. Okay. Now, going in this direction.
You have to mark that.
A4, please.
Okay. A4.
4 photographs again.
4 more photographs. Again, I took these, it was just last week. The upper left is the photograph of the improved parking lot, totally improved in accordance with the approval that we received back then. And that really supports this building. This is building number 32.
Is the one in pink?
This one, yeah, this is the pink.
Right.
And this, you see the little bubble between the pink and the gray?
Yeah.
That's a little wedge where the 2 buildings, there's a space. This will get removed, and that's going to become an ADA access to this building. Inside, there's nothing done to the outside. When there's a door, and there's going to be a lift to get up. So this will really support another use here. Right now, there's only, to tell you the truth, there are only 2 people in that building occasionally, because it's just storage, but you never know. So this was a big improvement to get rid of that, and then it's all connected with curb cuts, painted in, that this is all the previous approval. And there's a plan, these drawings do show this, we're not adding, but we're gonna get rid of that. And this is a photograph of going in the other direction. We're proposing a lot of landscaping here. The reason for that landscaping, which is gonna go right across here, is to really hide some of this loading dock for the residents across the street, so the trees will actually improve. It'll help the appearance.
Is that a proposed loading dock?
No, there's a, no.
There is a loading dock.
This is an existing loading dock.
Oh,
We're
okay.
proposing one more entry for this building because it's, let's see how big it is, and all the people come, they have to go back to here, they can't get to it. So this is gonna be just a drive up and a dock with a new door. So I propose to put all this landscaping, which is on one of these other plans.
Excuse
Pull
me
it out
one minute.
for clarity.
I hate for you to repeat, but can you reverse yourself so you can see where you're?
Yeah, I can reverse and repeat.
And I don't know if you said, are there currently loading docks on Mayor Street?
Yes. These are all docks. We just want to have one more entry here. And I'm proposing this landscaping, and that's actually going to improve the visual effect for the residents that live on that side anyway. And this drawing shows the landscaping.
We have that in our packet.
This is in your packet. It is drawing number 17 of 19. So this is all the landscaping that's going to go across. You have all this. But I wanted to have it so that when you look at an angle, it will hide some of the loading dock. I think that covers the improvements. It's basically access improvements because it's going to be all mini storage now.
Now, Mr. Colano, during the course of your testimony, you discussed the current use of the property. Can you briefly review that and talk about the number of employees that are currently at the site.
Yes. Okay, the proposal, well, currently, right now, the pink is just a storage building, a one-floor storage building, and it's leased by the county. And they have storage of documents and a couple of sheriff's vehicles for emergency.
Okay, how many employees in that building?
So most times none, but sometimes two. This gray, which is number 4, number 3, and number 7, is going to be mini storage, except for the second floor of number 7, which is the county. They store
When you say the
voting
county,
machines.
you're talking about Essex County, is
Essex
that
County.
correct?
And they have 2 employees there most of the time. Occasionally, there's more when they're bringing in the voting machines. It's not that often, a couple times a year. Then the mini storage facility, which is really safe and secure, which is run by the guy who owns this whole place, and they have only 5 employees. There's 2 at the desk, and there's another one who handles the leasing, and a couple of handymen. Then this other building, which is occupied by Ecuadorian rainforest, there are 12 employees.
So the total number of employees on the entire site does not exceed 25?
Yes. So we have ample parking for employees.
Now, did you have an opportunity to review Mr. Harrods's letter?
Yes, I did.
And do you have a copy of that available?
I do.
And would you please go over the issues in Mr. Harrods's letter that you have not commented on to this point?
Make sure I get the right letter. Okay, I have it.
The letter of August 23.
Right, okay. The one thing I neglected to comment on was the variance required for the new encroachment on the front yard of where the stairs, the emergency stairs are going in. That's going to happen here. This is the front yard, and but these exterior stairs are going to be within 6 inches of the property line, but you can see how far the property line is from the actual street. There's all grass area, and that's I have a photograph that I showed also. The exterior stairs are going to go on this building, and right now the building is only about 6 feet from the property line, so we're going to be 6 inches from the property line, but there's really no impact on the road because of all the space between the building and the road. That's just really put in for safety.
And that road you're talking about is the end of Mill Street, is that accurate?
I believe this is Mill Street. Yeah, I don't know anymore. This is Main Street, so this is Mill Street.
Well, that's where Mill and Main meet.
Right. And then, referring to his letter again, I did talk about the number of employees and the uses of the buildings. There's really no emission of noise, glare, nothing has changed. In fact, there's going to be less noise and less glare with the new mini storage use. Mr. Herod asked about refuge containers, and there are some.
And can you tell the board where they are located?
Yes. I'm going to put this is upside down. For this Ecuadorian rainforest, there are 2 sitting right, I drove by there today to see where they are. There are 2 refuge containers here, so like a front end loader. And then for the mini storage, there's 1 back here, and very little garbage in this whole facility. I couldn't even find one, so there must be one inside this building. There's nothing.
When the building you're referring to is building 32.
And it's just some storage.
And that you refer to as being rented by Essex County for storage?
Yes, the entire facility is rented. I just looked around, there's no container outside, so whatever they do must be kept inside. I think that's it with respect to Mr. Hurwitz's letter. I mean, the things I didn't call out. Oh, the lighting, we haven't changed any lighting, this is all per the previous approvals. The only thing that we did do was put new lighting on this lot, the rest of it was pre-existing.
And number 6 was provide meets and bounds descriptions, but there are no new easements, is that correct?
That's right, there are none. We're eliminating, it's on the drawing, we're eliminating the ones that we got approved. That were in the last
All
one.
at once.
Okay.
I have no further questions of my architect client. Witness.
I saw it trouble. Will there be any additional lighting for the covered stairwell? The outside stairwell?
Yes, it's on the drawing.
Would you review that?
I'm sorry, because you said there'd be no change in lighting.
I understand.
Well, this is, I meant in the parking lots and, there's no parking lot lighting change. There's some lighting, and it's mounted on the building.
No, all right. It's
Yeah,
just
there's some
because
lighting
there's
just
no
so we can
lighting.
get down the stairs, not floodlights.
And you could go back to A3, I think it's the lower right-hand picture. Lower right. Where would the loading dock be?
This is an entry to the building. We're gonna put an overhead door in through the brick, and then we're gonna pave so that we can drive up to it.
So it'll be sort of adjacent to the building, not,
No, well, it's perpendicular to the building. Well, there's a drawing.
perpendicular to the door.
Right.
Okay.
It's detailed if you want me to tell you.
No, no, no. You just
Okay, it's
said
perpendicular,
to
right.
the door. And then also, if the boundary line is erased, how many businesses would be on that one lot?
Well, there are just one business, the Ecuadorian rainforest, and the county is leasing the second floor of building 7. The rest is all mini storage.
There's,
Hundreds of tenants.
there will only be 2 on.
Lot 101 would be one business.
Yeah,
The new 102 is how many different businesses? Not who's renting.
There's 2 businesses, the Safe and Secure business that runs the mini storage, and the Ecuadorian rainforest people.
Okay. That's relevant.
Mr. Valano?
Is any of this reversal in preparation of a sale of a piece, or you don't know?
Not that I know of.
Okay, I didn't have to ask.
No one has contacted me about
So, as far as you
it.
know, it's not in preparation of a sale.
But I may have been hired just for this. I've
Yeah.
represented this gentleman since he acquired it with regard to all the land use. Now, he's a property owner of other properties, I'm sure he has other attorneys. But to my knowledge, there's been no mention to me of a sale. Mr. Ercolano, has it been mentioned to you?
Not at all. And if you look at, there's a lot of drawings, all the floor plans
Yeah.
we went through, that's all mini storage.
Right, so that brings me to my next question. So, if what's the buildings that are being converted to mini storage, they're being used for what now?
They're vacant.
They're vacant. So the traffic will be more, I'm gonna imagine.
Well, they weren't vacant forever, they just recently vacant.
Right,
But some of the floods vacated one of them.
Yeah.
That tenant moved out.
Yeah.
So, no, it's gonna be much less traffic than what was the previous tenants that were occupying it. Then when it made sense to do mini storage, because I guess it's, I don't know, I'm not in that business, must make a lot of sense financially. So they decided to keep them vacant when the guy moved out. You're aware of the floods.
Yeah.
I think the building had 3 feet. It's been a while. It's been dry for a while.
Okay, that was my question.
Any other questions by members of the board, of the witness? Any questions by members of the public of the witness? No. Okay, your next witness,
Mr. Denisha.
as long as he hasn't lost his license, he's definitely
He has been here
an
before.
expert, yes.
Roger, if you could raise your right hand with regard to this matter, do you swear the testimony you're about to give shall be the truth, self?
Yes, I just,
State your name and spell your last name for the record.
yes, Roger Denisha, D-E, capital N-I-S-C-I-A.
And you are still good to go in terms of license and all that?
Yes, but since the last time I was here, I've gotten more experience.
Okay.
So, Mr. Chairman, Mr. Denisha is accepted as an expert in the field of planning.
Yes.
Mr. Denisha, have you familiarized yourself with this application?
Yes, I reviewed the plan of the application, and just to refresh my memory and the board's memory, I appeared in 2009 on behalf of the applicant for the last variant, for the previous variance and subdivision request. And I understand this application is a
So you thought that
proposal.
was a good idea then, right? You thought it was a bad idea. Yeah. I'm sorry, I just couldn't let it go.
I mean, that is a good analogy, I have to admit.
That's what I love about planners.
I know. They go with the wind.
I'm feeling some wind in it.
Very good.
The application is a proposal to re-subdivide an existing industrial property and also to make certain ancillary improvements to the site of the buildings. And so that in order for the applicant to go ahead, approval is required for the reverse subdivision, as Mr. Gassion referred to it, as well as bulk variances as a result, minor bulk variances, as a result of the improvements that are proposed. And in order to come before you tonight, I did review the zoning as pertains to the application. I inspected the site in the area, and I prepared a set of photos, which I shall mark.
We were up to 8.5.
Or A6. A5?
Yeah.
And Mr. Denisha, with the help of those photos, would you describe the site as you feel it's required from a planning standpoint?
Mr. Ercolano gave a good description of the site. On Exhibit A5, there's an inset of an aerial photo showing the entire site and its development. As Mr. Ercolano explained, the site consists of 4 buildings and an extensive paved parking area, all contiguous within one track. In addition to that, there's a site that, as he also explained, connected to the application across Bayard Street at the corner of Main, Lot 19, which is a former service station, that in the last approval and application was approved for off-street parking. It's not connected directly to the site, but it is part of the entire site and part of the approval. That's shown in figure 5 here. That's the parking lot across the way. And as Mr. Ercolano explained, that is directly linked to Building 32, which doesn't show here, which is at the corner of Portland Street and Bayard Street. It's the one-story building used by the county now. So that the parking lot across, which is up here on the aerial photo to the top, is directly linked to Building 32, which is shown sort of to the left in the aerial photo. So right now the site operates as a unit. There's parking in the center for the buildings that face it, the small building that is towards Main Street, and then the combination of buildings in the center on the other side of the parking area. With all of the parking, there are approximately 160 parking spaces available to the site, and predominant use is warehouse storage with one non-warehouse use, and that would be, I call it the industrial processing use in the smaller building near Main Street.
Would you describe the proposal, again supplementing Mr. Ercolano's testimony where necessary?
Yes, Tom described what the modifications are, and what I did was take photos. It's easier for me to understand in the context of the site where the modifications will occur. We'll start with photo 1, which is at the corner of Mill Street. See, photo 2 is the entrance of the site. This is around the corner facing Mill Street, and Main Street is to the right. It is on this building where Mr. Ercolano explained that there will be a covered walkway because of the need to get access to and from the second floor of this building, which will be modified on the interior. The second modification is a loading dock in the area just beyond the main gate, in the area shown in photo 2 to the left. He described that loading dock, and that will provide access to that mini storage building. The third improvement will be further down on that two-story building to the rear of the site, shown in photo 3. Down at the end would be that new loading door that was described. And the question was asked specifically about how that one would work. The fourth set of modifications are around the corner on Bayard Street, and that's shown in photo 4. That's taken from the parking lot across. The photos don't show exactly where the improvements will be, but at the end of this building, which is in photo 4 to the right, that's where there's a little indentation between buildings where he described that interior ADA handicap access, and the lift will do. Just before that, where you can see the cars here, there's next to the existing loading dock, there will be a new loading dock in that area, as he described. The last modification, again, which is hard to see in photo, but let's say along Bayard Street, against the buildings that are on the front, there would be landscaping provided for the purpose that Mr. Ercolano explained. So if we look at all of these modifications, they are modifications that would that are considered necessary for an improved operation and function of the building. And I think Mr. Ercolano explained why, because of the nature of the building, how it's configured and designed for that matter. None of these are extraordinary, or none of these will add to the floor area or activity of the building. They will just make the whole site work a lot better. The other proposal, which can't be seen in the photos, is the subdivision. The site started out as one lot with the entire complex on one lot. In 2009, it was subdivided into 3 lots because the applicant at that time thought it would be better future use to have these buildings separated. And currently, that's not the case now. So then, what the better to show here, what is considered a little better operation and use of the site is to take the one-story building that's, I call it on Portland Street. It's a one-story building now used for warehousing for the county, to make that its own lot. The rest of the site, with the other buildings on it, and the parking area would be another lot and another site. Now, I think that relates all of the activity of the buildings to each of the sites, except the problem occurs because then Building 32, which is this new lot on Portland Street, the building covers the whole lot, so there's no parking. And that's why in the previous application, the new parking lot across Bayard Street at the corner of the old gas station, that was incorporated into the plan to provide parking specifically for and linked to building number 32. So if we look at the site the way it is now, absolutely nothing will change in the way it operates, except there will be those added modifications to the building for access primarily, various kinds of access. And of course, the landscape. but nothing else will change in the way the site operates. Everyone will park where they're parking now or on the new parking lot, which is improved but closed. And all of the business operations will continue as they are now, except some of the vacant spaces will hopefully be occupied in the future. But there will be no changes to the building, no changes to the parking area, and no substantial or significant changes to the site overall. And I think, in my opinion, in looking at this, the changes that are proposed will certainly improve the function and operation of the site.
And the zoning at this site, are you familiar with that?
Yes, as Mr. Ercolano explained, the site is situated in the 1B industrial zone district. And within the 1B zone district, warehousing, storage, and processing, manufacturing are permitted uses. Everything that's going on in the site are permitted uses. None of the uses have changed since the previous approval, although some of the occupancy might have changed. But there are also a set of bulk standards in the zone district. The minimum lot size is only 5,000 square feet. So it's clear that the two lots that are being created, one 44,000 square feet and one close to 300,000 square feet, I believe, or close to it, they obviously exceed what is required in the zoning ordinance. But there are some pre-existing conditions, and these conditions are pre-existing variance conditions. And these conditions arose in the overall site because of the placement of the buildings. When these buildings were constructed probably 100 years ago or more with no zoning requirements, they built out to the property lines on all sides. Well, when the zoning ordinance was established and the applicant came back in 2009, of course, these setbacks did not comply with any of the required setbacks. So at that time, variances were given for the existing conditions. And they're going on, they will continue, but in this application, none of those conditions will change at all. But there are some conditions that will change, that will require variances, and that's primarily in lot coverage. And also for the front yard setback for the new stairway on Mill Street. Again, because the buildings were constructed so close to the property line, when you put something in front like the stairway, it's certainly going to encroach the front yard setback, which is already encroaching and does not comply with the ordinance. The total coverage is I'm going to refer to this again, is another story altogether. If we look at the entire site, and if it were one lot, the coverage exceeds what is required by the ordinance, of course. And of course, this goes back to previous times, even before zoning. After this this application, if it were to be approved, all that impervious coverage would still remain the same, but still it would create variances, primarily because minor modifications do, as far as I could tell, encroach on some of the pervious areas.
No, that's not part of
Oh,
the
this,
ordinance.
it's not.
That coverage is just the building.
Oh, okay, it's just building coverage.
Impervious has nothing to do with this case.
Okay, then the only lot coverage that changes is the building number 32, which occupies the entire site. Previously, when all the buildings were combined on one site, there was enough site area to accommodate the total floor areas. When we take lot 32, building 32, and make it its own lot, it covers the entire site, so a lot coverage variance is required. But it doesn't change the way the site acts, it doesn't add any new buildings, it doesn't create any more impervious coverage or any kind of coverage. It's only because the building has been separated from the other sites. So, in my opinion, looking at the variances that are being generated by the application, they're both minimal and reasonable.
And have you formed an opinion regarding this entire application?
Yes, in my opinion, this application meets the criteria for the board to approve the bulk variances that are required under the criteria in the land use law section 70C2, and that's where the board can grant both variances if granting those variances represent planning benefits, and those benefits substantially outweigh any detriments. And I believe that this is the case in this application, and I recommend that the application be approved.
And review your reasons for making that recommendation.
Well, in summary, very quickly, the site is an industrial complex with warehouse and storage uses primarily, with some manufacturing or processing. The improvements that are being proposed are ancillary to the activities that are going on now, but are intended to directly improve the function and operation of the existing uses on the site. I think Mr. Milano explained that very well. And these improvements and modifications are minimal if you take into account the entire site and the amount of total area of buildings on the site. There's no pre-existing variance condition that will be altered as a result of this application. Approving these variances will have absolutely no impact on drainage and parking and traffic. And in my opinion, all of these represent planning benefits, primarily because they will promote the purposes of planning that are listed in the land use law under Section 2, and specifically those purposes under paragraphs A, G, H, and I. And in my opinion, there are no zoning or planning detriments that are associated with this application.
No further questions to this witness.
Questions by members of the board, Mr. Milano?
Two questions. So, when you first testified with us, they did the subdivision, in your opinion, was because they wanted to isolate each building, and was that it?
That's my recollection.
I didn't vote on this case, that's why I'm asking.
That's my recollection, to isolate the buildings.
Right,
So that they could all be...
So that was inherently beneficial then, right?
No, certainly it's not. It's not inherently
It was back then,
No,
right
it's
now.
not. It's not inherently beneficial. It just, the reasons for the variance, I can't recall the testimony, but there were, again, both variances. Aside from a use variance to allow the service station site
Okay,
to
so
be used
let's
for
ask
parking.
this way.
I'm sorry.
In this particular application now, right, it was reverse subdivision.
Yes.
You would say it's beneficial.
No, it's not inherently beneficial. The only part...
Let me just clarify one thing. Inherently beneficial has to do with institutional type uses.
Right, and so...
You could say it's beneficial, but inherently beneficial is kind of a word of art.
Yeah, you're correct.
I'm sorry, I didn't understand why you asked the
So
question.
it's beneficial
Yes.
to the master plan, whatever you want to say.
No, it doesn't have to be beneficial to the master plan. The use is permitted. It has to provide some sort of benefit, planning or zoning benefit. In my opinion, all of these improvements that were described do provide a benefit because they result in an improved use of the buildings and the site.
Right, okay. See, I guess what I'm asking is, since you were the expert back then, what was the positive criteria, if you will, to allowing the subdivision?
Well, the subdivision, I believe, didn't need much positive criteria because all of the lots complied with the ordinance. So, in other words, they all exceeded 5,000 square feet. The variances would have been required possibly, I can't recall, but there were existing setback conditions apparently that were never approved by variance because they pre-existed the ordinance. So what happened in the last approval, all of those setbacks around the fronts of the streets were approved as existing conditions. But there were no reasons for that except that they were there.
I guess my only other question would be the use of, what you call them, mini storage? Mini storage. Would that be, in your mind, any increased use or demand on that property or not?
No, because the
So
total
if I had
floor...
if I have one big tenant, right, using this building, right, versus 100 tenants, that would be an increased use.
No, I don't think it would, primarily because the use is still storage, irrespective of how many occupants there are renting a unit of storage space.
So, there is not an increased demand of that building.
No, I wouldn't think so.
Okay, so if I have one tenant who came in every day, right, versus 100 tenants, no increase in use.
Well, if it
Yes,
were
sir.
the case that only, if it was one tenant and one person
Well,
came in,
we have one tenant previously, right, and now we're going to multiple tenants. I don't want to say how many, I don't know.
no, I think the intensity of the use and the activity of the use relates more to the total floor area in this industrial space. You could have that one tenant occupying all of the space, and that could generate the same amount of activity as breaking it up into smaller spaces. It's a function of the space. And the use, of course, it's all warehouse and storage.
Yeah, okay. I think on that note, I don't have any more questions.
Any other members of the board have questions?
I have one.
Yes, go ahead.
Could you put up the original survey map, the one with the pink and the green shading?
I believe this is
Yes, I think it's upside down. Perfect.
8.2.
Maybe I'm missing something obvious, and don't mind my little laser pointer. I understand that you want to eliminate this boundary line, the green line, and make all of this into one contiguous lot. But
Yes.
my question is, if that line, if that green boundary line is left in place, how does that keep you from putting in the loading dock and that staircase? It seems like an academic issue. What?
It doesn't keep
So you could keep that boundary line in and make all the other
Yes.
upgrades to the
Yes.
property?
No, I don't know why that line has to come out yet.
Yeah, why does the line need
I've
to?
been trying to get there, but
I'm not getting it either, why the line has to be removed?
If I can have Mr. Ercolato give an answer to that, because he's intrinsically familiar with what the owner wanted. Mr. Ercolato, can you try to answer the question Mr. Sheldon raised?
I'm not sure the question, but I can answer, I can tell you.
Your
why.
question was, why do you need the subdivision? That's really it.
I know why this was proposed.
why?
Was because this use was not mini storage.
Right.
And now it's gonna be mini storage. There was no need to have a separation.
But wasn't originally, well, I thought I heard you talk about that, they wanted to separate the buildings in some degree. No, or yes?
When this was put in,
Yeah,
they were trying to separate the mini storage use from this other bulk storage and this facility.
right.
So the mini storage would be on one lot. That's why this was proposed.
But to my colleague's point, isn't it academic about where many
Well, no, because when we had this separate lot, we needed all these other cross easement agreements to get from one lot through the other. So by eliminating this, and then by making this building also mini storage, you have a facility with all of the mini storage on one lot. So managing the mini storage, which is a big part of this safe and secure business that my client has, makes more sense for it to be on one lot. So when it was separated, because all the mini storage was in this building, not in building 7. So that explains why he proposed it in 2009 and why we're taking it out now, because we want the mini storage all over.
Okay.
Anybody else have a question? I have a question.
You want to ask Roger or me?
You know what, we might as well jump in this together. Now, put it up, put it up. I'm not gonna shoot you, don't worry.
Well, I'll be behind.
Now, this here, this is all aligned through a building, am I correct? The green line,
It's through a building.
right through the building. Right. Now, you see where I'm putting it now? Look where I'm putting
No,
it.
we can't see.
I won't hit you, don't worry. See this? Is that not a street, or is that not labeled as a street technically?
It used to be.
It used to be. Does the owner own the street?
Yeah.
Oh, so he owns it all now?
Yes.
Now, can I ask a question?
Wallace
Why
and Tiernan
would-
owned it also.
Well, all right. Why would, if you're gonna separate, why wouldn't you just separate the buildings on the east from the building on the west? I wouldn't
Because then you
separate
still
anything
need to
else
cross
because,
easements.
huh?
You still need to cross easements to get to it, because then you have a landlocked building.
Cross easements if you were to sell. What?
No, it-
Well, what is the cross easements if you own it? I don't understand.
to get to this lot. Now, you have to drive through the other lot. So by eliminating the lot line, you don't have to drive through
That's
it.
one owner.
But the only easement would be right there, the old street, correct? That's the only easement to get to the buildings on both sides.
No.
No?
I think there, I don't want to testify, but I think there were a series of easements required at the last approval that have never actually been completed. I think Mr. Di Lorenzo knows that. And this relieves that problem. Also, there was a series of maybe connections between buildings. It became much more complicated if it was left together. If they were left as two separate
I
lots.
don't wanna, you know.
Now, the pink one on the bottom, okay, this pink one, that's not connected to this building at all, is it? That's totally separate, or is it still connected?
There's one small portion that's connected. Nothing goes through. It's blocked off.
Oh, okay.
It cuts-
Now, Mr. Donoshin, I'm gonna get to you. You used the term very much in your testimony. I believe it was the word encroachment. Are you encroaching on anybody else's property, or town property, or public property in any way?
No, I think that was poor choice of words, encroachment.
I think it was a very bad choice of words, because I was given the definition of encroachment this week by a surveyor, and he told me that means you're going on somebody else's property, if I was wrong.
Well, that's one meaning.
Ah, okay.
He might have meant encroaching on the setback.
That's why I asked the question, you know, because you used it at least 3-4 times. Okay, so you're not going on anybody's property, or municipal property, or town property, okay. All right, thank you. Any other questions by members of the board? Any questions of either witness by members of the public? I knew you were gonna say something sooner. Yes, name and address, come up though, you have to come up because we have to have you in the video so we can tie it into the transcribing.
Stop and make up first?
No. You don't have enough time. Right. Name and address, please, and ask the question.
Fred D'Antonio, 129 Mount Prospect Ave.
Okay.
Well, as much as the public wasn't able to view these photos at all, I'm going to ask, I don't know who asked, the
Well, you can look
architect
at them now.
or the planner, right? But they refer to the one-story building. I'm familiar with the area because I own the house there.
You gotta remember, you're asking questions based upon a testimony you gave.
Yes, there was testimony about a one-story building. Is that the one that's on Cortland
Yes.
and Bayard
Cortland and Bayard, and also this.
and Cleveland?
Right, that's exactly it.
All right.
And
And
this
that
is,
is that what's being proposed as being isolated as a separate lot?
yeah,
That is, I'm sorry, just for clarification.
it is a separate lot.
That was approved as a separate lot at the last application, Mr. Frantantoni. And the parking for that separate lot was approved as the old gas station that was torn down.
All right, so what I heard without seeing it and what my knowledge is, so that is now being proposed to be subdivided as a separate lot.
It is already a separate lot.
All right. And the parking for that lot is the old gas station.
Right, and that was, have you been there lately? It was a nice parking lot that was put in.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I used to own the house here that was sold in 2011. Now, what are the three lots now? I mean, what are the two lots that
There's
you
gonna be
propose
two,
now?
this one, and this is gonna be one lot, the yellow.
And when you refer to the lot that Essex County is using as storage,
It's this building.
this one here. All right,
My concern is, and I don't know if you can answer this now is a separate lot fronting on Cortlandt Street, correct? Cortlandt and Bayard and Skyline. All right. If the county vacates that, the owner can sell that as a separate parcel.
Not without this parking. I don't mean to answer, but that was part of the condition of the last approval. This goes with this.
Okay. So that parking has to be down there. Right now, this is going to be used for storage?
It's being used.
All right, I heard you, which part are you proposing for new mini storage?
The first floor of this building, which is now vacant, and that's gonna be mini storage. First floor, second floor is occupied by the county for voting machine storage.
Right. And right now, this is also county?
Yes.
County business? Now that's, when you call this a one-story building, that's pretty tall. Is there a basement underneath it too? Or is it
Partial though. There's a partial basement just with some restrooms. There's no basement that's really used for storage.
Right.
There were stairs going down to restrooms, and there's a whole set of plans, restrooms, locker rooms that were down there.
But it's called the one-story building.
It's really one story.
You know the
It's
floor to
tall,
ceiling
no,
height?
yeah, it's very tall.
Very tall building.
It's very tall. There's a
You know the height of it?
I would say the interior clear height is about 18 feet.
Right. So it could be made 2-4.
No.
Okay.
Now with the
8-foot
roof structure,
floor?
no, well, no one does. 8-foot floors are for residential, no commercial would be 8
Well,
foot.
thank you. That was going to be my next question. If the county vacates that, well, probably this is safe for testimony there. But that's my concern, because that, separating that, the county moves out.
I don't think Mr. Fantantoni understands, this was previously
That's
separated.
already separated.
It's been done.
What?
That's been separated. The pink is out.
It's been separated.
The pink has been separated a long
It
time
was
ago.
separated 6 years ago.
Right.
The
They
pink.
have to use the parking down there.
No, that's for the pink.
Right, the pink.
Pink.
The
That's
pink
not
goes
for
with
the
That's what I'm
application.
talking about.
But what I'm saying is, he's not talking about that. He's talking about the one to the east, not the pink
No, he's
part.
No,
not.
he's not.
What do you mean, no, he's not?
He's
Can
talking about the
Pink.
pink.
Can I
He's
just,
talking about the pink.
Can I
I'm talking about
just-
the application now.
the application is solely to eliminate this lot line. Has nothing to do with this. This was previously approved a long time ago, 6 years ago.
All right, so you're a limit. So this is, you presently have one parcel, another one here, and this is all one, the yellow?
It's gotta be one.
Not yet.
No, right now it's two.
Right now, it's the pink with the pink, this one and this one. The application is merely to eliminate the green lot line, so that this will be one lot and this and this. But these already are in existence, the two with the pink.
Yeah. The other thing I couldn't understand what you're talking about, where is this new loading dock? You're talking about?
I'll show you the photograph. It's right here. No, there's a couple of them. There's one here, and there's one here.
This is near the office, I think, that
Right.
already exists.
No, there's no dock there now, but I think if I show you the
Well,
photograph.
this is the one I'm concerned with. This is on Bayard Street?
Yes. That's on Bayard Street. That's going right up here. It's gonna be a drive with a little dock, and a little door, just for the people for the mini storage. And that's why
And this is all the mini storage.
this is, and so will this gonna be.
And
Hopefully,
then- And that new dock is for the mini storage.
right, because it's difficult to bring the product from here all the way down for the people. And by the way, my experience, I've been with this project for 17 years. People put their stuff in there and they never come back. It's not, this is a very low intense use. You can go there, drive around. Nobody parking there and there's very little activity.
And how many mini storage units are going to be in that area?
In this area, they're there already.
No, I heard you say something about new mini storage.
Yeah,
areas.
it's not here though, it's in this building.
In that building, but from that loading dock on there.
No, they're not gonna go into that building. They're gonna have new entrances on this side.
Right.
This is just to get into this building.
All right. Do they presently go in that building?
Yeah, there's elevators, you come
No,
in
no,
here.
from that dock.
Not from that, the dock's not there. We want to put it in.
All right.
Any other questions by members of the public? Any other questions redirect questions by members of the board? Anyone wish to give testimony?
Yes.
Okay. I assume, Mr. Gassion, you're done with your witness?
I am, Mr. Chairman.
Ah, good. Okay. Mr. Frantantoni?
Vincent Frank Antoni, 129 Mount.
And you swear to tell the truth with regard to this
I do.
application? Thank you.
Yeah, my only concern is there, because back then when I had the house, there was a severe problem. I think some of you recall the owners and the tenants on that street were here with the trucks, the traffic was there, it was impossible at times. Now, if you're gonna, there's some nice residential, I think there's about 12 houses across the street there. If you're gonna put that new loading dock on Bayard Street, and you're gonna have increased number of these units, you're gonna create another traffic hazard for the people. See, since those trailers, there used to be tractor trailers in there, and they used to enter there. Some of them would come and make deliveries. They would get there 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the morning, the place didn't open to 8, and their trucks would idle all night long, right? But that loading dock on Bayard Street, if you're gonna have increased mini storage, is gonna create traffic problems and inconveniences for the residents that live there. Because it's right in the middle of Bayard Street. Right in the middle of those 10 or 12 houses. And that's going to be the accident. Now, you're going to have an increased number of mini units, and I think Mr. Milano made mention of that. That was his concern. You're definitely going to have more traffic. If you got one use, or if you got 10 storage units, and people don't come there every day, but now if you got 100, you're going to have more people come there. And it's possible that 15 to 20 could just happen to come at the same time. Maybe they all come after work or something. I'm a contractor. I know contractors who use these mini storage. The logical thing is after work, 5, 6 o'clock, they go back to put their equipment or something in storage units. So that's my big concern, that loading dock on Bayard Street.
Any cross-examination by Mr.
No.
No. Okay. Anyone of the board wishes to question Mr. Frantantoni? Okay, so is that it? Is there any other members of the public wish to testify? No. Do you wish to sum up?
I do, Mr. Chairman. First, in response to Mr. Frantantoni. This was a vacant building, Wallace and Tiernan, a very old structure, very tough to work with. My client bought it 20 years ago and has put a low-intensity use in there that doesn't bother anybody in the town. There's like 25 employees at the site, very few truck movements. There might have been at one time tractor trailers there. They're not there now. Mini storage is not going to attract tractor trailers. They need an access to allow the mini storage people to pull up with their little vans. Again, take a structure like this and think about how little impact it has on the town. Mr. Frantantoni was worried about maybe residents being put in the back building. Well, what do you want? Something has to go with this location. You can't find anything less intense than what we have. There was an approval for storage back in the late 1900s. My client has used it for storage all the time. The purpose of this application is to eliminate one lot line and add some minor changes. An outdoor stair, a loading dock, another small loading dock. Nothing of consequence. The only variances involved here, other than the subdivision, have to do with a minor lot coverage variance and a minor variance for encroachment on the side yard. The other variances are all pre-existing. Certainly, the benefits that come to the town for this kind of use and this low intensity far exceeds anything being sought here. There's no substantial harm to the zone plan should this application be approved. We're getting rid of a lot line that creates more problems between two existing buildings and creates easements where they're not necessary. You're going to have two lots, one that sits with the rear building and a parking lot that my client provided by buying another piece of property so that he could provide parking for that building. And then the existing large lot that Wallace and Tiernan had will remain intact. The building's been improved, it looks much better, ugly smokestacks were removed. There's nothing but benefits that flow to the municipality from this particular structure. I think the proof is clear that this subdivision will be beneficial and that the small changes to the building will do no harm to the intent and purpose of the zone plan of Belleville. And in addition, as pointed out by Mr. Denisha, there are various zoning benefits that come from this. I thank the board for their time and attention and staying here to listen to this last case.
Can I ask you a question, Mr. Did you really mean reverse subdivision?
Well, you're eliminating that lot line. I think it
So
is a
that's a
reverse. That's just a
subdivision,
matter
not a
of
subdivision.
terminology.
No, it's a
Yeah, I want to make sure we...
consolidation.
I call it a reverse
Consolidation is
subdivision, that's
reverse
right.
subdivision.
Yeah.
Just want to make sure we were clear. Okay. I leave the board to their pleasure, what they would like to do here.
I mean, as far as,
Is there any conditions that we have to put on any of this?
I don't see it, except maybe on the lighting over the staircase, that could be,
Hold it.
Yeah, we gotta do that when he comes in for the permits. So we control that, we control that, yeah.
the down.
Okay, we're back on.
I wish to make a motion to approve.
I'll make a second.
Motion made by Mr. Smith, seconded by Mr. Giordano. Any conditions? No conditions?
Tom's report, lights.
And we're doing the whole thing together, including the reverse, well, actually, that's what we're doing, the reverse subdivision.
Yeah.
That probably have to sign later on.
And there's
No,
two,
the site plan.
and there's variances.
And bulk variances. Bulk variances, okay. All right, then, we got it all?
Yep.
Clerk, call the roll.
Giordano.
Yes.
Mafucci.
Yes.
Montalbano.
Yes.
Smith.
Yes.
Sheldon.
Yes.
Milano.
Yes.
Del Garcia.
Yes, approved 7-0.
Thank you for your time and attention. Again, thank you for staying.
Do we take our
And
exhibits?
thank you for getting here.
I believe
No.
they're held.
Those that are marked as evidence have to stay.
Okay.
Now, we have two other things, we have, actually, three things. We have two resolutions memorialized, and we have the calendar. That needs to come off for the calendar. Well, in the meantime, we can do the resolutions, we memorialize whenever you're ready.
Yeah.
But you can't vote on it anyway because she wasn't involved.
All right, first resolution is ZB 2015-15. This is for certificate of non-conforming use. Montalbano.
Yes.
Giordano.
Yes.
Smith.
Yes.
Pucci.
Yes.
Milano.
Yes.
Del Garcia.
Yes.
Second is denial of use variance, ZB 2015-11. Giordano.
Yes.
Pucci.
Yes.
Milano. Del Garcia.
Yes. Now we'll be voting on the calendar for the 2016. Anybody have any problems with it? I see no problems at all with this calendar. It's a very good calendar. It's all on Thursdays. There can't be any confusion. Okay. Any other problems with the calendar? None. All right. May I have a motion on the calendar?
Motion.
Motion made by Mr. Smith, seconded by Mr. Valano. Clerk, call the roll.
Giordano.
Yes.
Pucci.
Yes.
Montalbano.
Yes.
Smith.
Yes.
Sheldon.
Yes.
Higgins.
Yes.
Milano.
Yes.
Del Garcia.
Yes. Okay, motion to adjourn?
Yes.
Adjourn. That's it, all done.
The one lawyer that had to leave